Hey everyone and welcome back to Tiny Glade. I just can't stop playing this game, and so we are yet again building another thing. And today we are going to build an ElvenTower, so to say. So something very magical, something very creative in a way, because I didn't really take any inspiration or anything. I just let myself go, and honestly, this, I think, is the best thing about this game for me personally. I want to speak about this game a bit more into this video, a bit more my kind of a perception of it at the moment. So there are still a couple of things I already talked about in the last videos that I feel like have to be improved to make it really even better than it already is. Because at the moment, as much as I love the fact of doodling, it just is a bit of too tedious at times, and specifically when it comes to duplicating and, you know, making things a bit more often. And you can see over here, this is exactly what I mean. Like, this process of making the bridge is way too tedious. It would be so much more simple to just have one of the pieces and, yeah, you know, just copy paste it on the same height and then drag that in and keep on going. That would be so much simpler in comparison to what you need to do now and push it all in. And another thing is that I got a taste of my own medicine. And I want to talk about that specifically. I was about to do a little ramble about how crazy other people build in this game and how this kind of takes away the original idea of the game. But then I figured it's exactly the same that we kept doing in all the Planet games, and potentially this is how people must feel when we spend 30 hours to create a habitat fence, for example, and abusing the game's things and weaknesses, or maybe sometimes even bugs, to create something outstanding, which is absurdly taking way too long time, but it looks good at the end. And this is exactly what's happening with Tiny Glade at the moment. People are exploiting issues and bugs and weird things in this game to create some crazy stuff. I've seen the weirdest things out there. Like, people have been created literal train cars or whatever. They have created the weirdest crazy Rivendales and magical, insanely big like cities and stuff, and like things I didn't really understand how they are possible. And then I watched a couple of tutorials to see how they are possible, and I ended up not using all of these tricks simply because they take too much time. Like, there are so many things that look great, but they're so tedious. Like people building staircases, for example, with the use of the fences and the walls, for example, but you can only use a very tiny fraction of the wall until it starts being on a various height. Now, see, the point of this game being procedurally created is the beauty of it. It's not repetitive, you know, it's very organic. But as soon as you start exploiting these things, you want to have something organic. You want to have flat surfaces. You want to have flat walls, because you want that flat step to create your staircase, for example. And it's beautiful, and I love watching people, but it's so hilarious that I was like, my initial response to that was like, oh my god, can these people please stop, because I want to create the same, but it just takes too much time. And then I figured it is exactly the same that happens to people when they see us playing in Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, for example. So, you know, I kind of found that interesting. So it's not a negative ramble at all. It's actually very positive how people go nuts with it. And honestly, this build over here was the first one where I didn't take any inspiration. I just put on another audiobook and kept going and kept exploring the design of this tower, I must say, the ElvenTower I was building over here. And that was so fulfilling. It was so good and also so nice. Also, by the way, if there's some sound in the background I couldn't filter it out, it's because I'm printing a lot of 3D stuff at the moment, just as a nice little hint to the upcoming Planet Coaster series. But more about that in future videos. I just wanted to put that little plug in here just because I'm listening to that noise in my background all the time. It's kind of annoying me. But yeah, so this tower over here, as I said, is very much fully freestyle. Like, there is nothing I planned to do, but I'm so happy with the end result because it resembled exactly what I had in mind. And I feel almost like this is exactly what this game offers. The only thing I want to talk about real quick is the tendency to have it very fantastical and medieval, and this kind of, yeah, very much leaned into the beauty of old, kind of rusty and, yeah, medieval is actually the right term, architecture and stuff. Obviously, you can do a lot of these things, like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. That is kind of doable. But I wish to have more control over different themes, because I could definitely see this game work very well with other styles as well. Like maybe even more Roman styles could be very fun. More Greek styles could be super fun. More color variants on these walls and all like these. I love it a lot. And I think, you know, the creators of the game, lovely people, I think they are still blown away by the success of this game. But like, it's obvious why there is such a success, because the game does a lot of things right, and it's so very different to many of the other things and doodly games out there. You still have a very good control over things, but then again, there is still this random factor. I mean, if you don't do these crazy things that I was talking about earlier. So I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy. Also, I hope you like my choice of music. I actually searched for some very nice, fantastical music to go along with this build. I really hope you enjoy that one. So yeah, I'm very, 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 very happy with the final result. I keep saying that because it's so cool. But I also went through a lot of iterations to do a couple of things until I was happy. Like, I tried to do this like little support trick over here where you can use the wall pieces to create these huge archways, which usually work very well with cathedral styles, but I ended up not using them because it felt weird. I needed to have something, and this is where the limitation comes in. I needed to have something that is a bit more random in terms of, or like, it's not random but curved. You know, these typical elvish towers I had in mind, they would have supports that are not going straight down. They would be actually a lot more rounded and stuff like that. So I really would love to see some custom support items that you can use underneath these connected towers or so. Like, you can see, like, when you put a tower next to another one, it automatically creates that like circular lower part that connects this to the other one. And it's almost like working as a support, and depending on which style you're going for, it changes between stone and wood. I really like this like lower hanging support, but I would love to see more control over that. Putting on windows and stuff, you can see how much of a positive effect it has to it. So I was just like putting these things in to create this magical aspect of the whole thing. Here's another way of doing the support, but I ended up not using it. It just didn't look as I wanted it to look. I don't know. It felt weird to have it straight up. It doesn't, like, it needs to be curved. Like, there's no way to have it straight up, and I got it curved over here, as you can see. But the problem about this was that I needed to have it curved inwards and not outwards. So yeah, I just tried a couple other things here to make sure it works. And I figured that this could look good if I do like a separate like kind of element here in the center, as you can see, with those two having a bit of these huge archways, which I would kind of see as an element as well that you would see in these areas, like fantastical areas. I don't know what this could be, but maybe you can do some magical spells there. And also I tried to put like a little tower on top of it, but then I figured that I still wasn't able to get rid of the supports on the ground. I know it is somehow possible, but I just couldn't get it to work. I looked at some of the tutorials, but for some odd reasons I couldn't get the supports gone. Not sure if they fixed it, because rather quickly, or like rather shortly before I was starting, there was an update available for the game. So not sure if that update took away that little trick to get rid of the supports of floating elements. But well, people will figure it out eventually. I keep watching tutorials. They tell me how to do that. But yeah, you can see now, by deleting these things, you can really tell why I was doing so. It didn't click with me. It just didn't work. And I figured to do something else. And yeah, it was so rewarding to do this time around without actually having an inspiration, and just going with the flow was so utterly rewarding. And I figured this is the way to go for me in this game. Just like sit down. If I don't feel like playing something else for longer, I'm just going to do that. And then I also found out that you can use these little chimneys as smaller ones that fit a lot better to the style that I was going for. Like, they actually are almost like out of tin or copper, I don't know. And then I also figured you can use them to create these lower supports as well, lower support beams. The only thing is they stick out to the top, and I was actually getting rid of some of those. So yeah, at some point I was figuring I need some more clutter to the ground, so I used this little clutter trick to put, like, you know, these trapdoors in that generate eventually some clutter. And to get rid of the doors, you just put another element on top of it, lower it slightly to it, and then the trapdoors are still below and the clutter remains there. And I wanted to use one of those as a planter. But later on I figured that the planter is actually in a very weird position. It does actually block the way to see the whole castle tower thingy. completely, so I ended up not doing it. And I also wanted to have like a little boat dock over here, like a little dock where potentially a little boat could be. And then I went the extra mile to make that little tiny a pier, like a little wooden pier over here. And this is exactly what I meant. This is one of these tricks that people use to create so many different things, but you will see in this time lapse how tedious this all is. It is ridiculously tedious. And yeah, it's really it's a weird process to do that. And it feels so funny to speak about this, because at this point I'm like, oh my god, no, I'm not gonna do this. And when I went back to Planet Zoo yesterday evening after doing that, I was like, wait a second, I'm doing exactly this that I said I don't do in Tiny Glade. I was doing way too tedious things to achieve something that the game couldn't do faster. So it's kind of hilarious, you know, how perception changes depending on what game you're in. And just because I'm so used to it in Planet Zoo, it doesn't feel like this much work, but it eventually is that much work. So the only little things I did at the end were creating some more backdrops here for the scene, getting some more stones and stuff in, painting some more natural things and more color in to make it all pop, and get some more waterfront lilies, and I just like making sure it looks good. If I get it done, there's a cool little trick to make some very cool cinematics with the undo redo trick. That's the same thing we use in Planet Zoo. So if I will be able to do that, I'm gonna have a nice shot now at the end of how the castle is built from bottom to top. Really curious to see if that works. And yeah, that was it already for today's little build. I hope you enjoyed that one. I still do enjoy making these builds here in Tiny Glade a lot. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this game and what you wish to have in this game as a style, or maybe as a trick that I haven't figured yet, because people are finding out tricks every single day and night. It's so cool. And there are a lot of things I wish to see in this game. And yeah, what a surprising game to grant us so much fun. And I really hope you guys have as much, look, my voice is breaking apart. But yeah, I hope you guys have as much fun as I have. Now, for a couple more cinematics, enjoy your day, and I talk to you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment where you should do so. And actually, the subscribe button should glow up now nicely if YouTube does their job correctly. So please sub to the channel, that would help me out a lot. And I talk to you in the next one.